Welcome to another Whiteboard Wednesday. I'm Adrian Seeger of Conferences That Work, and I design and facilitate meetings that become what the people who come to them want and actually need them to be. So I want to tell you a story about how this all got started. 27 years ago, I came into a room with about 40 other people, and this was at the birth of the personal computer. The personal computer had just been invented and was finally affordable by small schools. I was working in IT at the time, doing IT at a small school, and I went to the president of the school and said, hey, you don't have to keep information on 3x5 cards anymore. There's this thing called a database. And the president said, wow, would you like to put these things together? And I said, sure. And I organized a conference. I knew that there were other schools, small schools all over the country where this was going on, and three of us actually put this conference together. So imagine the scene. You're in this room, I'm in this room with people, and I had been organizing conferences for quite a number of years in other fields, and they were conventional where you invited the experts to come. And this for the first time, when we put this together, it was like, there are no experts. We, the people who come here who are doing this for the first time, this brand new thing, we're the experts. So how do you build a conference? What kind of model do you have? There's no one, we don't even know each other. We don't know what we know. We don't know what our issues are, etc. And so I sort of on the spot put together something that over the years, over the next 10 years, I developed and refined into something that I'm calling the 3 questions. And that's what I'm going to tell you about today. And it's turned into a fundamental technique that I use that I think every meeting where the meeting organizers want people to actually discover the other people who are valuable to them. In other words, make connections. This is the best technique I know for doing this. And you do it at the start of the event. If you haven't seen my Whiteboard Wednesday video on the conference arc, this is the first thing that happens at the beginning of the conference arc, and it's one of the techniques that you can use when you've got a day and a half or longer conference for people to actually really connect very early on about the things that are important. So let's talk about the 3 questions, because the 3 questions is really about what people at meetings actually want to know about each other. And this whole process, the 3 questions, is a way for people to get that information in a structured way and in an interesting way and in a way that really builds a collection, a sense for the whole group of what people at the event actually want to do and actually want to talk about, what's important to them, and also the resources in the room that can make that possible. So the actual mechanics of this, again, are described in more detail in my books and on conferencesthatwork.com, my website. But in essence, what happens is these 3 questions are given to each person on a card. Writing in this is actually important. And everyone gets a pen. And up to a maximum of about 60 people will do this in a single group. So if you've got 500 people, you might take 10 groups of 50 people, and this is happening in 10 different rooms simultaneously with those groups of 50 people. So let's go through the questions, and I will try to explain how these questions actually answer the core things that you want to know when you meet someone, a stranger you don't know anyone about, at a meeting, and you know that you have something in common with them because you're all there because the meeting is about whatever it's about. So here's what you need to know. So the first question of the 3 questions is, number 1 is, how did I get here? And one of the things when I do this exercise, the first thing I say, and when people answer these questions, because what happens is after they've written down their answers, they take turns to take a minute or 2 to share their answers with the entire group of 50, 60 people, or however many people it is. And what I tell people before they do that is you cannot answer these questions incorrectly. So it's perfectly okay to say, I flew in on an American Airlines flight into Phoenix Airport and took an Uber here. That's a perfectly reasonable answer to how did I get here. And that's perfectly okay. But also, of course, if someone's a repeat attendee at an event that's been going on for you might say, I've been coming here for 6 years, and my friend so-and-so or my boss told me, this is a great conference, I should come. Or you might say, my boss tells me I have to go to this event, whatever it is. And you also, at this point, give your name and affiliation, where you're from. So you're providing some information about the past context of this, who this person is, what their affiliation is, which may mean something, I work for company X or whatever. And my connection to this event. Why am I in this room? That's what this question is about. And again, there are no wrong answers. If people say, my boss told me I had to come. You can't really argue with the boss. But you're going to get some information here. But actually, it's the second and third questions that are really the meat of and give the power of this exercise. The second question is what do I want to have happen? So what this is about you're saying, suppose this conference could be anything I wanted it to be. I could completely control, what would happen here. What would make this conference amazing for me? Because when you come to a conference, whenever you go to a meeting of any kind, you've got questions. You've got things that there are problems you're wrestling with. There are things that you've heard about that you want to learn more about. And the answer to this question is the opportunity that you have to the 50, 60 other people, or 30, whatever it is, the number of people in the room, to tell people, this is what I would like to do at this conference. If I could get some answers to this question, that would be fantastic. And I really want to talk about subject Y, whatever it is. You share that, and of course you're hearing that from all these different people at the group. And there's some resonance there. And it's incredibly common to discover that there's some topic that maybe the conference organizer never even thought about that is on the mind of a lot of people. Well, then you can create a conference. Again, that's described a little more in my other video about the conference arc, that actually meets those needs that are just being found in the moment. So this question gets answered, and what we also do while this is going on is you'll have a scribe. In the old days we used to use flip charts. These days there's usually a projected Google Doc on the wall, and scribes are writing down the answers to this question. So you're getting a big list of possible topics, and the whole group is seeing topics that are obviously important. People will often say later, yeah, I'm also really interested in that. Or they say, well, I have a slightly different take on this particular topic. This is what I want. And you're getting all this information out. And then the third question is a really important question. What experience, expertise do I have that others might find helpful? And this is a great question because this is where you're uncovering the incredible expertise in the room. David Weinberg said that the smartest person in the room is the room. In other words, when we capture and can use all the experience and expertise in the room as appropriate, we're really maximizing our access to the resources, the tremendous resources. One of the things I often do at conferences is have people line up in an experience line. You have 100 people in the room, and you say, line up by the number of years you've been in this industry. And you might find that the average is 10, which means you've got 1,000 years of experience in the room. And these conferences tap that. These are peer conferences, and they tap that. So this question, so question 2, just to go back for a moment, this question is about the present. This was kind of about the past. This is where I came from. This is what I want right now. This is about the past, the experience and expertise, but also about the future, because this will also drive this. These are the resources that we need to actually answer these questions in the future, the rest of the conference that's going on. The 3 questions uncovers a huge amount of information. There's always some surprises there. There's always, the person that basically talks about something that they've done that people are really interested in, that the conference organizers, sometimes the person themselves have no idea that anyone is interested, that they have done something of value. And of course, you have your turn to do this, and maybe people are really interested in what you have to say, and maybe you'll find out you'll be leading a session later in that conference. But whatever, but that's the exercise essentially, and you can run it in an hour or hour and a half. And it takes some time, but it's one of the most important things you can do because even inside that group of 50, 60 people, you might discover, if you discover the one person in those 50, 60 people who are like, this person can help me, or this person, I can work with this person, we can collaborate, or this is a great sales prospect for us, we have a perfect match here, that's incredibly valuable. And that's not going to happen at a traditional event unless you, happen to sit next to that person at lunch, whereas the person who's, 3 chairs away may be the person, who you really should have met and you would meet through this process, but you're never going to meet them at a traditional event. So that's the 3 questions. Very simple process. And again, you can read about exactly how to do it in my books. The questions, I guess, that I have for you is, you may have some questions about how you use this. You may have some questions about, for example, why do you write things down? Why is that important? If you have questions about how to run the 3 questions, put them in the comments, and I will answer those questions for you. And while you're writing down those comments, don't forget to subscribe to Whiteboard Wednesday, and so you won't miss any more of these entertaining little videos. And I'm Adrian Seeger of Conferences That Work, and until next time, goodbye from Whiteboard Wednesday.